J.R.R. Tolkien was not an easy man to engage, and he didn't like to sound mystical or self-important when he spoke about his work. However, there is a very unguarded 1955 letter he wrote to W.H. Auden, where Tolkien shows himself to be a genuine mystic regarding the source of his works. This is possibly because he viewed Auden as a genuinely great poet rather than some mere critic, and he felt that his own remarks would be understood and not merely taken as puffery or boasting. The most interesting claim in this letter is that Tolkien's work came from somewhere other than his own conscious mind. As he says, "Take the Ents, for instance. I did not consciously invent them at all. The chapter called Treebeard was written off more or less as it stands, with an effect on myself, except for labour pains, almost like reading someone else's work. And I like Ents now because they do not seem to have anything to do with me. And that accounts for my feeling throughout, especially when stuck, that I was not inventing but reporting, imperfectly, and had at times to wait until what really happened came through." Tolkien makes it very clear that this was not some kind of occasional experience. "I met a lot of things on the way that astonished me. Tom Bombadil I knew already, but I had never been to Bree. Strider sitting in the corner at the inn was a shock, and I had no more idea of who he was than had Frodo. The Mines of Moria had been a mere name, and off Lothlorien no word had reached my mortal ears till I came there. Far away I knew there were the Horse Lords, on the confines of an ancient kingdom of men, but Fangorn Forest was an unforeseen adventure. I had never heard of the House of Eol, nor the Stewards of Gondor. Most disquieting of all, Saruman had never been revealed to me, and I was as mystified as Frodo at Gandalf's failure to appear on the 22nd. I knew nothing of the Palantiri, though the moment the Orthanc stone was cast from the window I recognised it, and knew the meaning of the rhyme of lore that had been running in my mind, 7 stars and 7 stones and 1 white tree. These rhymes and names will crop up, but they do not always explain themselves." This must surely be the holy grail of writing fiction. Telling stories that come from some place other than our conscious minds, to report rather than invent, to produce work that seems to emerge from some greater power than our own limited selves. So how to do it? There is no prescription. Perhaps a whole life lived bravely and authentically, years of absolute dedication to the art and discipline of writing, reading at first widely and then very deeply, poring again and again over the structure of great works so that they get into your bones. Being prepared to risk failure and derision for many years, even after you have broken through, perhaps especially once you've broken through. Tolkien himself lived much of his life with a sense of frustration that his academic work, his paid work, driven by his family responsibilities, kept him from absolute dedication to writing. Even as early as 1938, he was confronting this frustration, as we see in his letter to Alan and Unwin, apologising for his failure to produce a sequel to The Hobbit. "I hope inspiration and the mood will return. It is not for lack of wooing that it holds aloof, but my wooing of late has been perforce intermittent. The muses do not like such half-heartedness." Perhaps it is wholeheartedness that really matters no matter what obstacles you face. Perhaps it's also never to denigrate the stories that are given, to accept the instructions of the muse humbly and reverently. So, for example, despite his temptation to devalue it, Tolkien always remained quite reverent to the sources that inspired his early work, The Hobbit, saying, "This so-called children's story was a fragment, torn out of an already existing mythology. We have come from God, and inevitably the myths woven by us, though they contain error, will also reflect a splintered fragment of the true light, the eternal truth that is with God." For after all, a splintered fragment of the true light may be exactly what we human beings are.